All right, so welcome into the 16 Sports Extra live stream here on this Friday. I'm Jackson Neill. That's the South Bend Tribune's Tom Noie. Tom, we're talking some Notre Dame men's and women's basketball here today. Let's start with the women's team last night, dropping that game to Louisville. Just kind of take me through, what did you see in that game for the Irish?
We saw everything that we didn't see 4 nights earlier when they played North Carolina and really took North Carolina to task. They beat North Carolina by 23, and it looked like a top 25 ranked team from Notre Dame. They shared the ball. They scored it. They were cruel when they needed to be cruel. They made shots. They defended. They did everything that they needed to do to win a top 25 game. Fast forward to Louisville. You got a top 10 team coming into town. Louisville's just flat out better when you have such a thin bench that Notre Dame has, where you have to rely on all 5 starters basically for 40 minutes. You cannot afford to have an off game by 1, by 2, and sometimes 3 starters. When that happens, you're going to struggle, and Notre Dame struggled last night to get a win in Purcell Pavilion, where Louisville basically did whatever they wanted.
And speaking of, with Louisville and their depth, I mean, one thing we heard from their coach after the game was how many different ball handlers they had and kind of how that took Hannah Hidalgo out of the game on the defensive end, where she had just 1 steal.
Well, Louisville's different than maybe every team that Notre Dame has played, maybe other than Michigan, where they had multiple handlers. Hannah Hidalgo has been able to do what she's done because she's doing it against 1 point guard. When you play against Louisville, you're going to have to do it against 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4, maybe 5. So they move the ball around to where Hannah cannot just focus in on, that's the other team's point guard. I'm going after her, and I'm going to get 6 steals, 8 steals, 9 steals. So Louisville's just a tough matchup for where this Notre Dame women's program is right now.
And one thing we've kind of talked about with Hannah Hidalgo and with Neill in recent press conferences is this ability or this tendency this season to bounce back. That it feels like almost for them to get a big win, they need to lose first, and then they'll come back with the huge win. I mean, it started with that whole Michigan to USC. Well, I mean, now next up is maybe the hardest game on the schedule of the season, going at UConn next Monday. Is this a spot where you could see this Irish team having the ability to bounce back and get a win that they have before?
Seriously, Jackson, if they bounce back on Martin Luther King Jr. Day evening in Connecticut, that would be the bounce back of all bounce backs, because let's face it, Connecticut is an absolute powerhouse. They're loaded again. They're going to go back to another Final Four. They may win another national championship. And if Notre Dame had Sonia Citron, Maddie Westbeld, Leah Tu King, then I would say, yeah, Notre Dame, or even Olivia Miles, then Notre Dame would be in a position to be in bounce back mode and go to Stores, because they took that team. And last time they went to Stores, guess what? They beat Connecticut. So this is just a team I think right now is overmatched. It's going to be wrong place, wrong time, wrong team for this Notre Dame women's basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last time they were in UConn, at UConn a couple of years ago, that was Hannah Hidalgo's kind of first time on the national stage. It feels like every time they've played UConn, whether it was that year, last season, she's always kind of showed up. But you're right, with this Notre Dame team, I mean, last night, 6 players getting minutes? The rotation is just so shallow. When you look at this team, I mean, what do you think about their NCAA tournament chances? I mean, at this point, we're asking, can they get in? And then if they get in, is this a group that can, break that Sweet 16, leaving in the Sweet 16 streak?
Again, a lot depends on matchups when you get to the NCAA tournament, but they have to max out their ability and their everything every single night just to have a chance against a top 10 team like Louisville. Like, let's say Vanessa Dehu, 15 points. They don't play fewer than 6 players, and they only really played 5 because they played the entire starting 5 the entire second half. And Louisville, teams like Louisville, top 10 teams, Louisville, Connecticut, Michigan, they're just going to grind you down. They're going to wear you down with their depth, with their size. For the entire NCAA tournament. So can they get to the NCAA tournament? I think they can. Can they win a game? Maybe. Can they get to the second weekend with what we saw last night? Probably not. But again, this team has surprised. North Carolina game, the USC game. USC came to town ranked 11th in the country, and we're thinking, boy, USC, even though they didn't have Juju Watkins, this is going to be a one-sided affair, and it's going to be USC. And it was all Notre Dame. So they've shown the potential to play well, but to stack those type of performances in the NCAA tournament, game after game or night after night, that's a big ask of where this program is right now.
And kind of going off that, one thing that I've thought throughout this season, I think it's going to prove itself out, especially later in this month when they go on a West Coast road trip. When you're playing this shallow of a roster, it's one thing when that USC game they had 6 days off before they played Michigan, and then or after they played Michigan, and then around the time of Christmas or around the time of Thanksgiving rather, they had 10 days off. When the ACC play, I mean, we're now getting to the part of the schedule where it's going to be 2 games a week. Some of these games you're going at Cal, you're going at Stanford, and even if you're a better team than them, if you have that shallow of a rotation playing that often with that much travel, that can wear a team down pretty quickly.
We knew it was going to catch up to this team, and it happened last night against Louisville. It's going to happen again, like you mentioned. Is it going to happen on the West Coast road swing with Cal and Stanford? Is it going to happen again to a team like Georgia Tech, where Notre Dame has no business losing to a team like Georgia Tech? But if somebody's off or somebody's game's off or the shot's not falling, the vibe's not right, we've seen stuff like that can happen. So what happened against Louisville, what happened against Georgia Tech, that may happen a time or two again as we get deeper into ACC play. It's it's the nature of what this team is right now. When you rely on 6 players and really 5.5 players, it's going to catch up to you, and it's going to be really tough to sustain any type of success that this team has been known for over the past few seasons.
All right, now let's go over to the men's side of things. I know your one true love right there, the Notre Dame men's basketball team. You've been following them for a while. Right now, they're on this 3-game losing streak. I guess coming off this loss, some of their most recent losses. Just what have you seen from this team recently? What's been going wrong? Obviously, Markus Burton's still out.
Markus Burton's out, and that's basically everything. Where everybody else has had to take a bigger role. Jalen Harrelson has to be a main ball handler, distributor. Logan Imes is really good as a third guard. He's now the second guard. He bumps up on the scouting report. He bumps up in responsibility. That's a tough ask for someone like him. And then the rest of the freshman class and the sophomores, they have to grow up and be upperclassmen. I don't know if they're totally prepared for everything they've had to do. Like when Markus Burton went down in early December against TCU with the broken ankle, I think the next couple of games this team was running on energy and just adrenaline, and Markus is out. Let's prove we can be a good basketball team. And they won a couple of games and they played really well. Now that you get into league play, you've got size and athleticism and experience and age and everything else coming at you game after game after game. And this is just not a team that's the way it's currently constructed, much like the women's team, to sustain success over a long period of time. We saw it against Stanford in the league opener out in Palo Alto when they went 47-40 in a rock fight. And they really should have been 2-0. They were 9 seconds away from being 2-0 in the league. But then when you come up against teams like this, where you're showing highlights, Clemson, Miami, Saturday against Virginia Tech, next Tuesday or next Wednesday against North Carolina, that's just the ACC personified. And I don't know if Notre Dame men's basketball is ACC caliber right now.
One point I want to touch on right there specifically is Jalen Harrelson. I mean, the recruit coming into Notre Dame this season for the basketball squad. I think the highest ranked recruit they've ever gotten in the internet era of ranking recruits. You mentioned now with Burton, now he has to handle the ball more. I guess just it's kind of been an up and down freshman season, obviously just his freshman year. How have you seen his game progress, and what maybe do you want to see him do more of now at towards the end of the season?
Let's start with do more of. How about do less of? And that's turnovers. Like if you're the main facilitator and you're the main handler, you've got to take care of the ball. Like it's been such a struggle, not only for Jalen, but everybody on the team, where the turnovers are just crushers. And Micah Shrewsbury has called them, he's used a football term and says they're pick sixes. And they've had so many pick sixes, not just Jalen, but anybody that's handling the ball. They're not only turning it over, but they're turning it over, and the other team is going down the other end and getting a layup out of it. And that's a crusher. I think with Jalen Harrelson, there's so much talent there, but I think his head is just swimming. Like, what's this college basketball thing all about? Clemson, Cal, Miami. He's never played against those guys like that. He's never played against that type of athleticism, that type of ability where guys can close out space where you think you've got an opening, but boom, if you don't hit it right away, it's gone and it's closed down. And there's a defender there, and there's a defender right next to him too. So it's the evolution of someone who can be a really good college basketball player, but someone who's thrown into a role that maybe he just wasn't prepared to handle right off the bat as a freshman in college, and that's Jalen Harrelson right now.
And you mentioned the ACC right there. I mean, last year we saw the conference have one of its most down years ever. This season, it's bounced back, I think, as a conference. Still not, to the ultimate heights, but there's still some really top-end talent, some really good teams in the conference. So it's not, you're right, it's not an easy league to be playing week in and week out. And I guess just kind of finally here, for this men's team, going forward the rest of this season, it seems like the tournament's kind of out of the question at this point with a couple of those losses, especially, some bad losses like the Purdue-Fort Wayne loss. But if you're a Notre Dame men's basketball fan, what should you be watching for? What should you be hoping this team accomplishes realistically kind of going down the stretch here?
Well, in all fairness, the NCAA tournament was never really that big of a possibility for this team because it had never done anything the previous 2 years under Markus Shrewsbury to where they could take that next step and go and say, all right, we have NCAA tournament dreams. Now, every team is going to talk about it and say, yeah, we dream of going to the NCAA tournament, and this team does. But I think they're still at least a year away from Selection Sunday being a realistic possibility. And going forward, you just need to see the team that we saw get 27 assists and beat TCU at TCU. Oh, by the way, a TCU team that should have won at Kansas about a week ago. So, and then also the team that beat Missouri, the team that beat Stanford. Like that, and people would look at that and they'll say, "What are you talking about, Stanford?" Well, Stanford just beat North Carolina at home in Palo Alto, and Stanford beat a Virginia Tech team that Notre Dame will play on Saturday at noon on the road. So Stanford looks like a pretty decent win. There's a good Notre Dame basketball team in there somewhere. Like if you sift through all the inefficiencies and the ineffectiveness and the turnovers and the struggles and the ups and downs, there's a good basketball team in there. I think it's Micah Shrewsbury's job to kind of tap into that the rest of the way and say, all right, this is what we were going to be with Markus Burton, but this is who we can be moving forward without Markus Burton.
And we haven't heard any update on when Burton is expected to return or anything like that.
No, and there's probably not going to be one that's not Micah Shrewsbury style. When Markus Burton had the surgery on his left ankle, I believe it was December 10th. Mm-hmm. He didn't even put a timetable on that because he doesn't want to pigeonhole one of his players into saying, all right, well, we told you it's 10 weeks. You got to come back within 10 weeks. What's wrong? He's not back within 10 weeks. All we were told was it's going to be a longer injury recovery, the rehab session than what it was last season with his knee. Last year, he was 8 to 10 weeks. He got back within 7. I think if we're getting to maybe the middle part of February, I think maybe that's kind of a target date for Markus Burton. But the one thing that people need to keep in mind is when Markus Burton was hurt last year with his knee, it was a fluke thing. It was a freak injury to where someone just fell on his knee. So he had a sore knee and he didn't have to have the psychological obstacle. Now he suffered a broken ankle going to the basket. And so what happens the first time Markus Burton goes to the basket? Is he going to mentally be like, you know what, I'm good? Or is this going to take some time? So it may stretch late into February, may stretch into March. And then there may be a case too where he just decides and the staff agrees with him that, you know what, it's best that I just sit out this season. I'll preserve a year of eligibility, take a medical red shirt, and I'll have 2 more years of college basketball after this one.
Yeah, that makes the most sense to me. And you're right with the whole in your head thing. I mean, especially playing in league play. We mentioned bigger, stronger guys when you're playing every single night in the ACC. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us on the 16 Sports Extra live stream. Remember, guys, we're going to be live streaming every single Friday at 2:30, talking a variety of Michiana sports topics. Tom, so glad you could join us today.
So glad to join you, Jackson. I haven't seen you in 24 hours. Or maybe 12 hours. Less than 24 hours.
Probably like 14 or 15 hours after last night's Notre Dame-Louisville women's basketball game. Well, I know you got to get going, Tom. Thank you so much for doing this.
You got it, brother. Have a good weekend.